This is Racing Gaming and welcome back to another part. Now this is going to be a quick 10 to 15 minute video because this one, yeah, I know about that. This one is just basically going to be a quick reading of every bit of every character's bio, and then I'm going to finish up on the last video by basically clicking that and going through the whole cinematic. I mean, if I do a video and that ends up being the same cinematic that it was at the beginning, then I'll just obviously delete that video and leave it at that. But other than that, let's go ahead and... No, we're not doing talk. We'll go from the first one and go along like that. So first bio is Ajax. Okay, let's go. Kirk's urban combat expertise was hard-won fighting in the streets and allies of the shanty towns that sprang up on the outskirts of Johannesburg in the early 20s. Increasing desertification had displaced millions of individuals as the continent's farmlands... I don't like it when it does that. Continent's farmlands collapsed, creating brutally policed slums where the strongest gangs got the pick of the aid handouts, while warning amongst themselves and with the riot, police who guarded the convoys distributing food and medical supplies. When Van Gran, a self-styled warlord, took over Kirk's gang, he fled, eventually establishing a militia of his own, one dedicated to looking after the needs of the people rather than crushing them in its own self-interest. Rashu and his soldiers fund their operations by selling their services to the highest bidder. So that is Ajax. On to Battery. Hers ain't too big. Being the only daughter and youngest child in a group of 5 siblings, Erin Baker always had to fight to get her way. Following in a family tradition of over 100 years of military service, she watched her brothers enter the US Army one by one before finally graduating high school and enrolling herself. Driven to excel by her ongoing rivalry with her older brothers, she volunteered for airborne school before crushing the Ranger assessment and selecting program. Heavily armoured, she fiercely operates ahead of the front lines, nimbly traversing urban environments as she destroys APTs with salvos of advanced high explosive munition. That is Barry! Right, on to Crash. Oh, bloody hell. Oh, Jesus, you gotta be kidding me. I have some bloody reading to do. Oh, God. A teenage sporting prodigy on top of his class, Jared's run of luck came to an end when halfway through his veterinarian training he discovered poker. Obsessed with his new pastime, Jared lost big and often borrowing money from family and his swiftly dwelling circle of friends spiraling deeper and deeper into debt. He took loans from scrumptious people, local criminals, suppliers of low-grade narcotics, and extorters of local businesses. Unable to pay, it wasn't long before Jared's fledgling surgical skills were being brought to bear on the gunshot and stab injuries resulting from their rivalries. Eventually realising that they would never allow him to pay off his debts, he decided to disappear, a hitch and a quarter. I can't see, I just see a quarter of the way, I'm just going to guess that is. Around the continent, he lost himself in the townships and camps that had sprung up. Bloody hell. Where did I get to? Where the continent, he lost himself in the townships and camps that had sprung up on the coast around Darwin, making his way, tending to the sick and injured. After a few years moving from camp to camp, Basley joined the Australian Defence Force, determined to do more to improve the lives of displaced. After an initial tour, he entered the ranks of the Special Air Service Regiment, qualifying as a medical surgeon. As Baz tells his patients, stitching one animal back together is much the same as any other. Well, that was a bloody mouthful. Jesus. I'm hoping that no other character is going to be like that. Fire breaks alright. Prague-born Krzysztof Hajic is a battlefield problem solver armed with a powerful arsenal of weaponry. He effectively solves numerous issues over and over again using his favourite tool, fire. Whether it's direct one-on-one confrontation or the strategic denial of areas, there's no question Hedrick's utility, even if the results of his work can be hard to stomach. Working up close and personal with Flame is something that very few volunteer for, but Hedrick thrives on it. He and Fire appear to have come to an understanding. Usually Clayman is passionate. The only time he truly lights up is when his enemies do. Right, on to the next. I'm halfway. Never done this much reading in my life. Using his survivalist training to stay alive, Tava Rogers has gone off-grid. An ex-member of the elite Colombian Rapid Deployment Force, FONDRA, is an expert in jungle warfare, able to blend into the forest and survive off the land almost indefinitely. After discovering too late that the targets of their last SAD mission, Search and Destroy mission, were their own, his unit was broken up, its members reassigned to other teams. Soon, under suspicious circumstances, his ex-squad mates started turning up dead. As sole survivor, he seeks retribution for his fallen against his enemies. Right, on to Prophet. Hopefully Prophet's not too bad. Jesus, I clicked the wrong one then. I was wondering what the hell that was. I thought he had loads of bio to read. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Growing up in London, David Wilkes always possessed machine empathy. Naturally understanding their function, dismantling and reassembling electronics and machines was second nature to him. While serving in the British Engineering Corps, the first set of cybernetic implants he received would jump him on a path to become closer to the metal. He believes that the fusion of man and machine is the obvious next step away to short-circuit evolution. Now heavily upgraded, he represents the cutting edge of the human weapon on the battlefield, using his superior technology and skills to disrupt his opponent's strategies before moving in for the kill. I am nearly there. Jesus. It's going to be a long one for recon, isn't it? Oh, jeez. Raised in the small town of Higashikawa, Kasumi was expected to enter the family business, sourcing lumber from nearby forests to supply local artists and artisan furniture makers. He was a loner who had inherited the hair-trigger temper that ran in the family as far back as anyone could trace. During his rages, his grandfather would claim him by teaching him how to read the Aishin. The repetitive casting of coins or sticks allowed him to focus quiet in his mind. His grandfather was taught by his grandfather before him. Mastering the family rage was a multi-generational work in progress. In 2038, a virulent flu ripped through Japan and much of the southern hemisphere, decimating the population. Kasumi and his father were the only members of their family that survived. Higashikawa populace was reduced to triple digits. As the nation descended into turmoil, Kasumi joined the Japanese Ground Self-Defense Force to do his part in restoring and maintaining order. Rebuilding what had been lost, he has risen steadily through ranks, stripped of older senior officers, serving as a recon scout. 3 left to go. Ruin! This is not too bad. Born into a military family and raised in a tough neighbourhood, Donnie Walsh grew up fearless and headstrong. Joining the army straight out of high school, Walsh is an infantry soldier through and through. The battlefield has become his second home. He is suspicious of covert ops and anything that operates outside of the established chain of command, viewing them as dishonourable. He prefers a straight-up fair fight and knows that there's never a substitute for good boots on the ground. Now cybernetically augmented, he uses his unique abilities to rush headlong into the fray, meeting his enemies with sheer, unadulterated and overwhelming force. Hers is quite short. The only child of feared officer of the 54 Mortals, He Shinjin was rising in the ranks of Singapore County Zone's ruling criminal combined. She proved to be an excellent and dedicated pupil, learning the traditions and honoured lineage of the organisation while pursuing martial training with a single-minded determination. She worked hard to neither disappoint her father or the combined leadership. At 17, she was elevated to the rank of enforcer, one of the few who policed the combined from within. while ruthlessly executing the will of the 54i wherever and whenever it might be required, I mean. Right, last character talk is not that bad. Born in life and treated mostly as an inconvenience by severely unemployed parents, Kieran was left to his own devices, spending his youth exploring junkyards, tinkering with the scrap and broken gadgets he found there. Quick-witted but exhibiting signature poor judgment, he was always been a prankster, which has constantly landed him in trouble with the authorities. Eagerly supported by parents keen to get him out of the house, he joined the British Army at 16 and was steered towards the British Engineering Corps, where his natural affinity for mechanical engineering swiftly earned him a reputation as a fearsome battlefield engineer. His easy-going, self-effacing humour, along with the exemplary quality of his work, are likely the only things that have saved him from extended time in the brig for his ongoing campaign of practical jokes. Well, that wraps up every single character's bio. So with that said, I will see you guys in the next video when I wrap the Specialist Headquarters up with a bit of story cinematics. I'm going to go through the lot, and if I can actually just wondering if I could just straight up play it all without having to come back. Get 25 melee kit. I was going to say, why is this stuff locked? Get 25. I might actually, when I actually unlock all this. Oh, that's all that stuff. I ain't going through that again. When I actually unlock all this, I'll do a separate video and do all this. But other than that, next video is going to be the video cinematics, and I'll put them all piece by piece together. So I'll see you guys in the next video.